Hello everyone, welcome to a DSP video. This DSP video was originally going to be one video. I was going to cover the MCN story and the emergency, but that video became too long. And I wasn't really happy with it, so I decided to do something a little different. I'm going to do it two parts, basically. This part will be the emergency stuff, then the other part will be about the MCN story that Phil has given us. So, our boy Full Hands, he got this recording of Phil at the end of his of this second part of his 8 Live segment where he had that emergency call and all that. So we're gonna watch that. The reason why I'm using Full Hands and not going to the source video is because, unlike Phil, Full Hands cut down the filler, dude. So let's watch this.
So that was Monday, I think Monday morning or whatever. Okay.
Look at this. So he kept his phone on silent, by the way, so he probably also deactivated the vibration, so that way, you know, the vibration doesn't come through the mic, or that the phone was not close enough for the mic to pick up the vibration, but he also probably turned off the alarm, or the ringtone, so that you can't hear the ringtone as he's doing a podcast. So, he's doing this, and he's looking at the phone, and he's just like, oh man, should I pick it up? He's thinking about it. He's thinking about picking up the phone.
I think,
Get this.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Hold on 1 second, everybody.
1 second, everybody.
I'll be right back. I'm getting an important phone call.
So he mutes it, gets up. Apparently he missed the call. Because he spent too much time, like, thinking about picking up the call. So, yeah, Full Hands, cut out the in-between. Because there was a long, like, few minutes, or a few seconds, I guess, of silence. Our boy Full Hands cut that filler out.
Folks, I've got a family emergency. It came out of nowhere, and I have to deal with it now. So guess what? Sadly, the podcast
I have to deal with it now. If it's a family emergency, I have to deal with it now. It's an emergency, and he's just like saying, well, I have to deal with it. Like, it doesn't sound, like, at the time, it didn't sound like it was a true emergency, and a lot of people were suspecting that, me included, were thinking, oh, he's just trying to weasel out of getting into the Laveria stuff because he probably knows his story is bullshit. And during this 5 hours, mind you, he tweeted out Injustice 2. He talked about about giving away the game on a stream or something. So I sat there, I was like, well, there's no way it's a real emergency or an emergency if he's talking about Injustice 2. And he's been also overusing that word lately. He's been saying emergency this, emergency that, all of that. So the meaning of emergency has kind of died in the realm of DSP because he has said emergency so many times that when he says it's an emergency, it's kind of hard to take it seriously anymore. And that's like a shitty position to be in when you can't use the word emergency and not be taken seriously because an emergency is, you know, a serious thing. But Phil kind of ran that term to the ground where no one takes it seriously anymore. That's kind of why in a lot of his vlogs, his drama vlogs, he doesn't use the word emergency anymore. He kind of goes back, he went to alert, but that's also kind of dying down as well, so he's going to have to find another term to pull people in. But that's a whole other point. But, like, to say this and like, we all know why he left. It was because his girlfriend, his fiance, went to the hospital, and he's just saying, "Oh well, now I have to deal with it. I gotta go. It's an emergency. I was just getting to the climax." Like he just kind of didn't sound concerned or worried or any instance of urgency. Now I know some people might argue that an anxiety attack might not be a serious thing. It's not like this and that. I don't care about that, because the thing is, if I had a girlfriend who went to the hospital, period, no matter what, I'd still, get there immediately. Just because it's an anxiety attack doesn't mean that I'm gonna dilly-dally to get to the hospital for my loved one. I mean, I'm gonna be there for her. I'm not gonna just be like, well, I'm in no rush. I'm gonna, play some video games. No. I mean, that's fucked up. And for him to spend all this time talking to his fans, like all he had to do at most was to get off the phone after he did that, come back and say, "Okay, everyone, I gotta go. I have an emergency," and then just end the stream right there. He doesn't need to go through this extra fluff of like, well, whatever, I was talking about my story, dude. I know it sucks, but it is what it is, dude.
And I can't finish my story right now.
Look at this.
But when I am available to finish it, which maybe later today I will, but right now...
Later today, his girlfriend went to the hospital. And at this time, according to him, he did not know why she was there or that he was, like, kind of in the dark. And he's just dilly-dallying on stream right now.
I don't even have time to upload. I have to...
But he has time to
So
to
I
say
will be
this.
going out and I will be back.
Yeah, it's an emergency. He doesn't know why she's in the hospital exactly, and he thinks that he's going to be home later that day.
Later today, and everything will be fine. But I have no idea right now. I'm kind of in the dark, so I have to go take care of some personal stuff. Just say it's an emergency,
right? Then leave.
It happens. It sucks.
It happens. It sucks.
I'll let everyone know what's going on later. But right now, I have to leave. So
just
sorry, everyone. That's the end of the podcast.
I know. And then he did a snide little chuckle right there, like, "Oh, sorry, everyone." Like, oh my god, dude, your fiance's in the hospital, and you're doing this.
Middle of the fucking story too.
Yeah, that's what we should be. That's what we should take away from this is that you have to stop telling us your story. Yeah, you have an emergency, but, we should all be bummed out you couldn't finish your story. Okay.
I'm not opening
you have your priorities
yet either.
Phil.
I gotta go take care of this. I'll be back. Sorry, everyone, that it ended like this.
Oh my god, come on.
We'll resume at some point.
Yeah, we'll resume at some point. Okay. So, yeah, that's that. Thank you, Full Hands, for that video. So let's get into the video. About the emergency. Look at the title. Part 3, Emergency. All in caps. Has to be in caps. Absolutely has to be in caps. Okay, so let's get started.
Alright, so here's what happened, everyone. I was sitting here, I was doing the podcast. As you know, I'm in the middle of my story about MCNs, right? In the middle of my story.
This guy.
And I'm, going full force. And in fact, I was getting to the big climactic part of what actually happened at the end there. With my story with this Poltavi network or whatever. And as I'm about to get to, like, the climactic part, I get a phone call. I'm like, oh, boy. And it's from Leanna's job. And they're like, we need you to come in right now. We got a problem.
Got a problem.
Back. Because the thing is, he called. I tried to answer, and I couldn't answer. As you saw on stream, I was going to answer the phone. I tried, and it didn't even work. Like, I missed the call. So then I had to call them back. And, basically, they said, your girlfriend here is not doing too good. She had some kind of an anxiety attack.
Some kind of an anxiety attack.
She needs something, and basically paramedics had showed up, okay? Now, Leanna has a history of doing this, having these attacks. It's not her fault or whatever. She's just had it in her life. She's had a bunch of them.
That string of words is the weirdest, pick of words to describe it. Oh, she has a history of doing this and all this, yeah, usually, in the EMT field, we do refer to things that happened in the past as a history. Like, oh, do you have a history? That's fine, but that's that's a whole different context because we're just trying to get information from the patient. Like, oh, have you suffered from anxiety attacks in the past? Have you done this? You're trying to get a general understanding. But if you're a person like Phil, saying you have a history of doing this kind of has a different connotation to it, and it kind of comes off weird. So, I don't generally think that he said it meaning it. I think he just kind of said it just kind of to describe a condition that Leanna has had, or is continuing having. Because anxiety attack is not something that just kind of comes and goes and never comes back again. It's a thing that people kind of deal with from time to time. I mean, anyone can suffer from it. People who do it more often kind of are more prone to them, but I mean that's a whole other thing. But it's just okay. Yeah. Paramedics showed up. The thing is that with anxiety attacks, I know people might jump down my throat about this, but anxiety attacks are important for the patient. I'm not gonna say that it's not. To Leanna, that anxiety attack was probably the worst thing she has felt ever because that's probably the most intense thing that happened to her. And to every patient, that's how it feels. If right now, when you're watching this video, you're feeling fine. You have you probably have a good blood pressure. You have a good heart rate. You have good breathing. All this. You're feeling fine. You're feeling good. If you start to suddenly feel out of breath, if you start to not feel lightheaded, and you don't know what's causing it. Like, if like you're just randomly feeling it, it's probably going to be a big deal to you, because you're like, oh fuck, this isn't normal, something's going on, and you're going to naturally want to, you know, call the ambulance, or go to the hospital, or whatever. You're going to do whatever you want to get better. So for Leanna, that anxiety attack was probably bad enough to call the ambulance, or to accept treatment from the ambulance to go to the hospital. Keep that in mind. She felt the need that she had to go, because when the ambulance is called, the way that it works is that we don't just take people in the ambulance and then we just go on our way. We have to kind of ask the patient, do they want to go? Yeah, I know, you know, some people might say that's kind of dumb, because when you call an ambulance, you feel like it's implied. But the thing is that the time when you call the ambulance, by the time you get there, you know, things change. Like, I've been called on a few calls here and there where, you know, we were dispatched on one thing, then by the time we got there, the patient doesn't want to go. Like, he's like, oh, I'm feeling better now, I don't feel like going in. They refuse care. They can do that. So the ambulance doesn't trick people or force people to go to the fucking hospital. That doesn't fucking happen. The only way that happens, the only way that the ambulance can just take someone without their permission would be if they were too drunk to make to refuse. If they are like a child and the parent wants them to go, that kind of stuff. Stuff that's kind of like, you know, understandable. Like, if someone's having a stroke, they can't refuse, because they're, you know, that's a very serious condition. Anxiety attack, I mean, depending on the patient, but Leanna to say yes to go to the hospital with the ambulance means that she probably felt that she had to go, and all that. If she didn't feel that it was a big enough thing, she would have refused. But she was probably at the state of mind where she can make the call yes or no. The reason why I'm probably saying that is because she was on the phone with Phil, according to Phil. She was talking to him on a phone via text and through a call. So if she's able to do that, she's obviously capable of making a decision. So, yeah, she wanted to go to the hospital. She has every right to go to the hospital. If she feels that this anxiety attack is so bad she has to go to the hospital, she has every right to accept that treatment. So, Phil is condescendingly talking about this, airing this out for all his fans. This video has 9,269 views at this point. This is so fucking shitty for to do this, because, like, she has it's her own little thing. I mean, it's so fucked up that he made a video about this, put clickbait in the title, and talked about it, and just wait until you hear the rest of it. It gets this is like the. Oh my god. Let's get right into it.
She just happened to have a really
sorry,
bad
that was like a
at
tangent
work today. It's happened before, and if it's at home, usually there's no problem. We can get her to calm down or whatever. But at this time, it happened in the middle of a work day. She was really stressed out, apparently, and boom, it hit her.
Boom.
And basically, it was so bad that no one could get her to calm down, and they had to call the paramedics. So I was like, okay, what should I do here? You know, I don't have a car, so if I'm gonna come to the mall,
oh no, guys, he doesn't have a car. That was the first fucking thing that went to his head. His girlfriend was rushed to the hospital, and he's like, I don't have a car. I need my car, dude. Your fiance, the person who you live with, Phil, went to the hospital. I don't think the car is at all a priority.
A taxi or whatever, because she has the car. She had driven to her job, right? And I needed to get a taxi to her job so that I could, obviously be there and help her out.
Oh, I get
so
this. Oh my
I
God.
called her cell phone to see what was going on, and she answered, which I didn't expect she would answer. I was like, okay. So I called the cell phone, and she's like, I'm here with the paramedics. They're going to take me to the hospital because it's so bad. And I said, all right, well, here's what you do. Leave the keys with your manager.
Okay. I gotta say this as well. When you call the ambulance, the biggest thing with the ambulance is the time that's used to get the patient from where you're calling them to the hospital. Time does fucking matter, and the ambulance is also a necessary thing. So when you call the ambulance, you're taking time from other patients that might need the call more. You know, like I'm not saying that Leanna is issue. The issue that I'm getting to is him calling her, telling her, oh, go to your manager, give the keys, tell him this and that. He is wasting everyone's time, and that's the worst thing you can do to the ambulance. Like, yeah, there might be some time for you to do that to get some stuff straightened out. But if it's a bad like anxiety attack, it would benefit her more if she's already in the ambulance and they can treat her on the way there. They don't treat her at the scene. That's the other thing. The only way EMTs and paramedics could treat a patient on the scene is if they're like, about to refuse. If they're like, okay, I don't want to go to the hospital, but like, whatever. That's one thing. I mean, that's a whole other thing we don't really have to get into. But the thing is that she wants to go to the hospital to begin with. Okay. And he's like talking to her on the phone, telling her to go to the manager with the keys. Like, you're wasting their time with this. Just let's let them take Leanna to the hospital, and you can worry about the car later, because you're wasting the EMT's time, the paramedics' time, the ambulance. You're wasting their time. They have because they want to get things moving and going. You don't want to waste their time. You don't. It's one of the worst things. Like, as even with EMTs, if there's an EMT that's dragging their feet with an assessment, another EMT will like just push them out of the way and take over, because they want to get that patient on the ambulance like in a certain amount of time. It's a thing that they have to go because it's times the amount of pace. Now they probably came into that scene cold to begin with, because it's not saying that like, oh, it's cold because they don't care. It's just that hot responses are mostly for like life-threatening things. Anxiety attack, I mean, it could become life-threatening, but they're probably gonna start the call off cold. But if she starts to decrease in treatment or whatever, if her vitals do a sharp decline, then it'll upgrade it to a hot response. But I don't know. It depends on what they were called on. So I can't really speak out, but I'm assuming they probably went in cold. But either way, they have to get into that ambulance. They have to keep it moving, because they get there at a good enough time, cold or hot. It's just that hot is when it's like, oh shit, they could die.
I'll take a taxi to there.
He's talking about his fucking car.
I'll drive from your job to the hospital, and I'll meet you at the hospital.
He tells them, she's sitting there listening to this whole thing. The EMTs are standing there like, okay, we would like to get you into the ambulance. What's taking so long? And she's just like, oh, I'm just hearing this life story about Phil and the car keys. Fuck the car, Phil.
Yeah, we leave the car, now we can't get anywhere, right? If I think
you could get a taxi! You could get a taxi at the hospital. Oh my god, this guy.
Back to the hospital, it would make sense. Let's do it in the right order, okay?
Like, I kind of see where he's coming from with that, but the thing is, that shouldn't be the fucking issue. It shouldn't be the issue. You shouldn't have to worry about the car just yet. Just take a taxi to the car. But whatever.
So she says, okay. So I hang up. I call back her manager. I let her know I'm on the way. I'm calling a taxi. So I call a taxi. Taxi's on the way to the house or whatever. Then as the taxi was about to arrive, I realized, oh crap, I don't know where Leanna parked the car. So I had to call her back and find out where she had parked the car. But I didn't even call. I texted her. Got a text. All right.
Okay.
And then I was like, okay. So I waited for the taxi. Taxi shows up. I explained to the guy.
Look at this. His girlfriend went to the hospital, and he's making the story about him. What a great person.
Yes, the stereotype persists. The guy could barely
speak English. The stereotype persists.
Guy shows up. Okay.
Oh my God.
He's gonna drive me to the mall, to the job at the mall, and so we get there. It takes about only like 15 minutes. But then get this. So I don't have cash on me.
How do you not have cash? How do you not have cash? I'm sorry. Like, I try to at least have some cash in my wallet if I go somewhere, because you don't know if you're gonna need it. I personally don't like using my card, because it's just I don't like using it. I would much rather use cash when I can. I only use a card if it's like an absolute emergency and I need to use it. I never go with card. I just stick with cash. So, this guy, how do you not have cash?
Cash on me at all. And
he doesn't go to an ATM, so there you go.
Route, if not at the hospital already, and I need to get this car and get over there. So I hand him the credit card. He goes to swipe it. Oh, I don't know what's going on. And this guy...
I don't know what's going on. Yeah, that's a great way to portray the fucking taxi driver. He probably did something to, like, I don't know. Maybe he swiped the card when it wasn't ready.
First of all, this cab, okay...
First of all, this cab. Let me talk about this cab.
So a standard
this
meter
is what you
with a card swipe. Then he has a pad.
You know what the other thing is his card probably has a chip, because a lot of cards are being made with those chips now. And when you swipe a card that has a chip, it's a little funky when you do that because it doesn't accept the payment. You have to kind of put in the chip reader. So that's probably what was going on with the cab driver.
A little pad, I don't know, what do you call it? Tablet, a little tablet.
A pad, it's a tablet. LG tablet. Oh, now I know.
On some stand or some complex thing, right?
A stand complex
thing. And he's fucking with that, trying to get it to work. Okay. In the meantime, I've got a display in front of me that says, you know, Seattle Taxi or whatever, with information. So I'm like, oh, I'm just going to swipe. He goes, no, do not swipe. It's not ready yet. It's not ready. Do not swipe. Okay, not going to swipe. So he's messing with it. He's messing with it. Oh, he's mumbling in another language that I don't understand. He's going crazy. I said, dude, I'm in a hurry.
This guy, oh my god, the taxi drivers are also kind of overworked. So you're just kind of like, oh my god,
I have to go. I can't be here all day.
Should've taken an Uber.
All right. So he's messing with it. Still not working. Unplugs the tablet. Replugs the tablet. Unplugs the tablet.
I really doubt this happens.
Tries it again. Doesn't work.
I don't know.
Okay. Powers down the tablet. Powers up the tablet.
I really doubt this happened. I feel like that he's just embellishing this story.
Like,
not a clown.
Is this like a cruel joke that something serious is going on and I need to be somewhere?
Something serious is going on, but I went to my car first because that's where you go when serious stuff happens. Yeah, okay.
And the fucking thing, you know what I mean? And at this point, I was about to get out of the car. And I was like, I will go to an ATM and give you money, but you have to wait. I'm going to go to the ATM and come right back. He goes, no, I will fix. And he messes around for another like 5 minutes. And
really? The taxi driver did that? He waved his arms like a clown and yelled, no. No, I fucking doubt that. Yeah, this taxi story is a load of shit. I really don't believe this taxi story is legitimate. I really doubt it.
Finally, he gets it to go. So I'm not even kidding you.
I mean, there would be like a half-truth somewhere.
But taxi was longer than the taxi ride, and good thing he didn't charge me for it, or I probably would have ripped his fucking head off.
But
that was ridiculous. That was
because that's ridiculous. The important thing. Is that
stupid taxi ride, really?
Not your girlfriend at the hospital, right?
All right.
This guy.
So I get out of the car, I go to the job, get the keys, okay. Now I gotta find the car, which was somewhere in a parking garage. I'm wandering around a parking garage. I finally find it after
somewhere
like 5
in a
minutes
parking
wandering
garage.
around. Get in the car, go to the hospital.
But why was he walking around? I thought Leanna told him where the car was, huh? And the other thing to keep in mind is that the anxiety attack was probably a big deal for her. But as I said, I think I said this earlier, but if she's able to talk on the phone and to text, it's probably that she's either being treated already as they're taking her to the hospital, or like she's calming down. Because the thing with anxiety attacks, the one thing that the EMTs do is that they should do is that they try to remove the patient from the area that gave them anxiety. So they can't keep her. They're not going to leave her at the job. They're going to it's probably going to be in the patient's best interest for her to leave, because she probably got this anxiety attack from her job, because there's probably a lot of stress that she had at that time, maybe. So it's better to take her out of the area that caused it, so that way she can kind of calm down easily. Because if you're not gonna stay in the place that's giving you a lot of stress. It wouldn't be in your best interest for that if it's causing a issue that would cause you to call the ambulance and all that shit. But like, I mean, Phil, come on, get all right.
And what a rigmarole this is.
Rigmarole.
Okay? So I go to the hospital. And I walked in to the front main area because I don't know where to go. I don't know if they brought her to emergency. I don't know if she's been already, if she's going to be admitted to the hospital. I don't know what's going on.
She wouldn't be admitted for this because this thing is, it was probably like treated with the paramedics, because the thing with paramedics is that they have a wider scope than an EMT. An EMT can only like, you know, give them oxygen. That's the only medication that they can give is oxygen. And for a patient like Leanna, they probably gave her a nasal cannula, I would say, because the bag is not favorable anymore, because it leads to the patient potentially breathing in the CO2 that they breathe out. So you don't want to do that. The oxygen mask is a little too heavy duty for her. Another thing to keep in mind is that she's breathing really fast. So she's like so her quality of air isn't the best. It's probably not terrible, but it's probably really fast, so she's not getting quality breaths. So if the EMTs never showed up, the condition could have worsened. So that's the other thing to keep in mind in this, is that, you know, just wait. I'm getting ahead of this story.
How serious this whole situation is, I have no idea.
It's serious for her. I'll put it that way.
Fly Eagles Fly. Shout out to Fly
Eagles
Fly.
Yeah, give them shout outs.
Just subscribe to the channel, actually. Thank you, Fly Eagles Fly. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Fly Eagles Fly.
So I walk to the hospital. There's an information desk. It's completely empty. There's no one sitting there. You could tell there's 4 chairs, no one there. I guess because it's Sunday, no one works at this hospital.
No one works at this hospital on a Sunday. Imagine what would happen if there was if the hospital was closed on Sundays. Just imagine. It would be fucking chaos. The death rates would probably go up. No, the hospitals don't close on Sundays, Phil. It's not a retail store.
So I'm looking around, I'm pacing back and forth. What do I do? Who do I talk to? Finally, I find a phone.
Come on.
It says, "Oh, lift this phone."
Navigating a hospital is not that fucking hard. Come on.
Okay, I pick up the phone. Hello, who is this? Can you help me? You know, my girlfriend, I think she's in the hospital somewhere. And they're like, oh,
what is this? My girlfriend. She's somewhere in the hospital. Like, yeah, that's the right thing to laugh about.
Her name. I give her the name. Like, okay, she's still over in emergency, so go this way and go to emergency. Okay, would have been nice if, you know, there was a fucking human working instead of me having to find a random phone.
But you talk to a human though on the phone.
So, okay. I go through this lobby, I go to the emergency. So, again, I walk to emergency, now there's a line, and I'm like, well, these are people who are hurt, what do I do? So I get in line, but I'm looking around, I wait in line.
He goes in line with all the people who are injured and shit. What? You go to a hospital, you know you're not the patient. You're not gonna sit with the people who are injured. That's fucking dumb. Are the people who are injured waiting to visit someone? Like, come on.
So I realized to my left, way over here, on a tiny little sign, not even like apparent, little sign, it says, visitor check-in. I'm like...
Because they probably assume that people who are like, you know, like you, Phil, are probably not dumb enough to sit with all the injured people.
Wow. If only there was a big fucking sign so everyone would know where to go when they walk into this
hospital. Yeah,
if only you had glasses. This tiny rinky-dink sign you can't even see from the front door. So if I get out of the line I'm in, I go over there, talk to a security guy, you know, makes a copy of my license, checks me in. He says, okay, she's down there. She's in room 28. I said, so what's the deal? He says, well, it says here, you know, she had another anxiety attack. Well, not
what's the deal? But you talked to her on the phone. She told you it was for an anxiety attack. Do you think that's something else? I guess something could have happened, but okay. I mean, whatever.
That she's had them in the past. She says she had an anxiety attack. Apparently she's drugged and she's in this room awaiting a doctor.
But a security officer knows this though? I don't know. I don't know how, like, if a security officer is privy to that kind of information, because usually patient information is like they treat that with, like, you know, very personally. Like, only like the EMTs can give the report to the doctor that's treating her. Like if I have a patient and I go to a hospital, I'm not going to go to every single nurse to tell them the condition of my patient. I mean, that would get me in trouble. So I don't know how the security officer knew, unless I don't know.
either come in or whatever. I guess a doctor coming in to check her out. Or no. Actually, I take that back. He said no. He did say that. He had told me there was a doctor that was checking her out or something like that. And I was like, okay. So
okay.
I walk through, I go all the way.
The doctor probably already checked her out, to be honest.
Area where they've got her in a room, and I go in, and she's conscious, but she's kind of loopy. You could tell they drugged her or something.
They drugged her, yeah, giving her medication. They drugged her. That's good terminology to use, Phil. Use that term. Okay.
Like they're nothing, no anxiety or nothing. She was just like, oh, like loopy, like this, right?
Well, yeah. Well, yeah. You're not gonna see the patient when they're like in their anxiety attack when you. That's the thing. When you're an EMT, that's the difference between like an EMT and what the doctor sees. The EMT, we see the patient as shit's going down. It's a whole other thing. And then as we're taking the patient to there, the patient's condition changes. It could change for the best or for the worst. I'm willing to bet that it probably changed for the best in Leanna's case because she's communicating. She's there. If it was anything worse, she probably would be in a more serious room. But that's beside the point. Yeah, of course they're gonna give her medication and shit.
So obviously, so you're okay. You didn't fall. You didn't hit your head or nothing, right? No, just shit happened.
You didn't hit your head. Well, actually, no. That is a good question though, because some people do ask. Because you do have to ask the. But if the patient's found on the floor, we would have to ask that. I don't know if they found Leanne on the floor with his anxiety attack because it depends on how they found her, though. That's the other thing.
It happens every once in a while, and now this is the worst one she's ever had. So maybe that she has to go see her doctor and try to get some kind of thing to take care of it. Because the bottom line is with anxiety attacks, they suck. The reason that they suck is there's really no way to cure them. Okay.
I just
there was something
like
for example,
shitty about that.
A certain kind of breathing or.
He was talking about this. He's like, there's no way to cure them. Like, it just sounds so fucking weird when he says it that way. I mean, that's kind of nitpicky, sure, but it's yeah, anxiety attacks suck, but there are ways to kind of like to treat them. I mean, medication is one of them, but I mean, yeah, like the way that an EMT would do it would probably to coach them how to breathe because. Anxiety is it is something brought on through like with their mind and all that stuff. Like it's stuff that's triggered through their context, their situation, and all that. So like the stress can bring it out, bring anxiety attacks out because it's probably like an overload and they're probably like panicking and they're starting to breathe really fast and they do need to be coached on to breathe in a little bit slowly. And to calm them down. So probably what happened in that ambulance ride, besides giving her the medication, they probably also tried to like kind of communicate with her, kind of like get her to talk some more. Because the thing with anxiety attacks, the way that you can tell just by their breathing, just off like at a first glance type of thing, is how they talk. If they can talk within like a good sentence without any breaths or like not sounding exhausted as they talk. Then the respiration is probably pretty good, but if they're like talking like, everyone, my name is, Leanna, like that, like if they're just like very like out of breath, and winded, there's something probably going on with their breathing. So they probably found her just kind of like a little bit exhausted, kind of winded. She might be breathing a little bit faster than normal, above her normal vitals. So they probably tried to like calm her down with either like medication, communication, that kind of stuff. I mean, that's really all that they can do. It's not like an anxiety attack is not something that really they're gonna be like, okay, we need to get the fucking like get the AED out. They're not gonna do that. But I mean, the only thing that anxiety attacks can lead to that can be serious is since the breathing is pretty is not great. The quality of oxygen that they're breathing in isn't great full breaths. Like they're not breathing in a lot of oxygen. They're breathing little bits. Their oxygen their oxygen content or their oxygen levels in their system is probably decreasing. So and that's bad. The more it decreases, the higher chance that that some of the organs might start to fail. Now I doubt that happened with Leanna because I mean she was able to talk. They were able to get there, and they probably helped her out a lot. So Phil is lucky. Phil is lucky that you know if the EMTs did not show up, it could have been a lot worse.
Who's like constantly has mental issues and is having these problems, they could go on an antidepressant, but that's not the situation.
No, I don't think
antidepressant gets one, and now it's like a tizzy. You got to try to calm her down.
A tizzy,
right?
It's like a tizzy. It's just. I feel like when DSP's talking about this and talking about drug medicating her, I feel like he's like thinking about like in the movies. You know when you watch a movie and the main character or the character like kind of goes crazy and stuff, and they're like, oh, we gotta sedate the patient, and they get like the nurses hold him down and they inject the syringe and all that stuff. That's probably what like Phil thinks was going on. I just have a feeling that that's his like mental image of this. Like he pictures Leanna like going like crazy, and they had to like. And that probably is not what happened. She was probably very cooperative to the EMTs and the paramedics that were there. Just saying.
Now in this case, they drugged her. So she got drugged. She was woozy or whatever. So I sat there with her, and
they probably drugged her
because it was. Wait, I said, well, what are we waiting for? She says, I guess they told me that there's going to be a counselor that's going to be coming in and talking to me about this and what happened or whatever to make sure I'm all right. And then, we can't get any further help or diagnosis until this counselor comes in. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All
So we're sitting there, and I look down, and on her lap, she's on a hospital gurney or whatever, sitting there in the room. On her lap is a brochure. I said, "What's this?" I pick it up. Finance it. How to pay. Finance it. I'm like, you're in the emergency room. Like,
this.
They already gave you a way to pay the bill?
Yeah, Phil. Okay. Fun fact about ambulance rides, and this is kind of why I tell people, if you're going to call the ambulance, be sure you need to go to use it, because the ambulance does cost money. But the thing with ambulance rides, when they take you, when you're in that ambulance and you're on your way to the hospital, right before you even enter the hospital, they'll give you a thing to sign. They'll tell you that if you sign this, you give us permission to access your insurance so that we can bill you, for finances, and that you also acknowledge that we took care of you, we did the best, all this stuff that we took you here on your own will, all this stuff. It's for legal protection, obviously, but they tell you all that stuff that you're signing for. Leanna was probably at a state of mind where she could sign because she wasn't, in a critical state. She wasn't in a trauma state. She wasn't in these kind of things. So she was probably able to sign that. So yeah, they do kind of handle billing as soon as you get there. That's the first thing they do. And by the time they gave her that brochure, they probably gave her that brochure when they were all said and done. Like, they probably were done with all the things they had to do with her, because the paramedics took care of her. So as soon as the paramedics hand over the patient to the hospital to like a nurse or a doctor, they take care of it. So by the time Phil got there, they were probably already done taking care of her, because it's an anxiety attack. She was there. She was probably on her way to be discharged. They were probably just waiting for the counselor to finish things up, to do like a final assessment to see if anything has changed. Like if by the time the counselor comes and she's like completely, worse than before, they would probably like try to do something else to remedy that. If the counselor comes and she's fine, which she was, fortunately for Phil, right? That she came out, she was fine. The counselor would just come and tell her, like, okay, well, this is the information, and then just let them be. Of course they're going to give you the billing information. Of course they were going to do that by that time, because her care was wrapping up. They were at like the end stage of the care for her, because she's fine. There's nothing more that they can do. Is she like, when you go to the hospital, yeah, like they treat you the best that they can, but once like your vitals are stable and there's nothing more that they can do, they're done. I mean, the only way that like they would probably keep her overnight would be if if the conditions worsened, which they didn't. So what more does Phil want them to do? And the longer she would be at the hospital, the more costly it would be. So he should at least be grateful that she didn't have to spend the night or like a week there. But it's unbelievable that his girlfriend went to the hospital, and the thing that he is mostly like triggered about is the bill. If like, if I had a girlfriend and she had to go to the hospital for any reason, I don't care, like, as long as she truly believed that she had to go to the hospital and she had to go with the ambulance and all that stuff, I would not care about the bill. I would just, yeah, it does suck when you have to pay, because it's a lot of money. Yeah, sure, it sucks. It does. But I would just say, well, at least she's fine. At least she was in good hands. At least, the paramedics were able to take care of her while I wasn't there for her. I mean, at least she was in good hands. I would gladly pay the bill regardless, because these people who took care of her did their best to take care of her. And this guy is ungrateful about it. He's just, wow, dude, they gave her a payment plan. Oh my god, what a piece of shit, dude.
And I'm looking at it like, imagine if you were here and you had your arm chopped off and your arm is fucking splurting.
If your arm was chopped off, they wouldn't give you the brochure right then and there. They'd probably wait, get this, until they treated it. Either by controlling the bleeding, which they probably would do regardless, or by attaching a transplant arm or whatever. They wouldn't give you the bill as it's happening. This guy doesn't understand how billing works in hospitals. They don't... Oh my god, this idiot.
Before they start suturing it, do they hand you the payment brochure first just to be sure you could fucking pay? I couldn't believe it. I was like, if that was me and I was sitting in an emergency room, I'd be fucking offended.
I'd be offended. Okay, Phil, I'll go into an ambulance. Go as soon as they get into the hospital doors. They'll have you sign a little thing. Are you going to be offended by having to sign, your financial information to the hospital or whatever? Come on. They gave her that brochure at the end of their treatment. He doesn't, and the other thing is that he came in when she was already in the hospital room. So he doesn't know where she is in that regard. I mean, yeah, sure, I get you can make the same argument to me, saying, well, you don't know either, but if she's just chilling there and they gave her a payment brochure and they're waiting for a counselor, I mean, it's kind of the end phases of the treatment. I mean, the doctor's probably already seen her because, they check out the patient, then they might say like, okay, well, this person has an anxiety attack. Okay, well, she's her vitals are fine now. She's stable, but I'm gonna send in a counselor, and that's it. We're done. And the doctor would go on to the next patient. That's the thing with hospitals. We'll get into that later on.
Hand me this up front like that. Seriously, I'd be like, get the fuck out of here with this. I'm insulted that you hand me a payment fucking plan already.
You don't know when they gave it to her, you dummy.
Ridiculous. I couldn't believe it. Okay, I couldn't believe it. So we wait there. How long? No, let's see. How long did we wait? Let's see how people can take a guess. How long did we wait? Did we wait 10 minutes?
Oh, if you waited 10 minutes, dude, if a doctor got in there for 10 minutes, she would have to be in, like, code red. She would have to be, like, on the brink of death for them to be there, like, even less than 10 minutes. There's no way they're gonna go there for 10 minutes, because the way that hospitals work, it's pretty easy. I mean, the EMTs kind of work on the same principle when it's, like, a mass casualty thing, but we'll just focus on the hospital for this. They go to the patients who need it the most. So we look at Leanna, like, she has an anxiety attack, and right now she's stable. She's just chilling. She's just chilling in the bed. Do you think the doctor is going to take that patient like as top priority, or a patient who lost an arm, or a patient who has a stroke, or an aneurysm? All these things. No, they're going to take care of those people first, because those people need the care the most. Leanna is probably, like, on the bottom of that priority list, because, she's not in a critical state anymore. She's stable. The paramedics took care of her the best that they could. The doctor checked up on her. The nurse checked up on her. Because usually, when the paramedic and EMTs treat a patient, they get the information and all that, but the doctors do a second assessment just to make sure that the EMTs or paramedics might not have missed anything, or to see if there might be something more that they might have missed, that kind of stuff. They have to do that. So that's why you might see some repetition if you go to the hospital. Like, the EMTs might ask you, like, oh, are you on any medications, this and that, and then when you go to the hospital, the doctors might ask those same questions. That's just because they want to make sure that they get everything. So, yeah, they're not gonna go to Leanna because she's not, like, urgent. She's not an urgent patient. She's not like a patient that can go south any second. She's at a stable condition. The doctors and nurses, checked up on her and said, okay, well, her vitals are fine. She's communicating. She's cooperative. She's not, she's not like out of mind. She's not in a altered mental status that's completely drawing. It's outside of what the paramedics gave her. If the paramedics gave her a medication, then they would probably say, okay, well, she's acting this way accordingly to the medication. If she was acting differently by the medication, then it would be a whole different situation. So yeah, of course they're gonna wait the longest because they're not urgent. They're not an urgent patient.
No. Did we wait 20 minutes? No. Did we wait 30 minutes? No.
Like, this is the other thing. Like, if you have a patient like Leanna, they would probably, I don't know how their hospitals do it, but usually we would either have to patch into a hospital or we would have to wait for a room number at the hospital themselves. So, if it's a patient like Leanne, they probably would have to go to the hospital, tell a nurse, like, okay, this is how we found the patient, this is the information, this is her billing information, this is this, blah, 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 all that fun stuff. So they take that information, they're like, okay, well, let's look for a room that we can put her in, and they do that. But let's say that, another ambulance comes in, and the patient is, like, in cardiac arrest, and this patient is, like, really, like, either going downhill or whatever. They're gonna rush that patient right into a emergency room immediately because that person needs all the help that person can get. And when they bring them to the emergency room, oh man, you see a lot of doctors, a lot of nurses, everyone like surrounding them, like, okay, we need to do this and this and this and this and this, and then the EMT or paramedic is just rattling up all the things they did. It is something to see. It's incredible how quickly how quickly they treat that patient. It's really something. But for a patient like Leanne, they're just gonna be like, okay, well, let's just, they're just gonna like do that. They're not gonna like rush her to an emergency room like that example I brought up.
Do we wait 40 minutes? No. Do we wait 50 minutes? No. Do we wait an hour? No. An hour goes by, no one's come in, no nurse, no counselor, nothing. We're just sitting there.
Yeah, because they have other fucking patients. You're at a hospital, not a fucking hotel, dummy.
And we're like, well, what is this? Are we even aware of what's going on here? And at this point, she was starting to get hungry because now it's like around the time.
Okay, like I'll be a little bit fair here, okay? He can ask this to find out where the counselor is. Sure, but like, I would probably give them like almost 2 hours. Like 2 hours would be like maybe the earliest or latest, depending on like how long I'm waiting. But I really would not. I mean, come on, you're at a hospital, and there's other patients
that we would normally eat or whatever. And we're like, God, this is no good. Now we're gonna be starving, or we have to figure.
Oh yeah, food. Let's talk about food, guys.
So I said, okay, let me leave and go find someone. So I leave the room and I walk down the hallway, and there's like a desk at the end of this emergency room hallway. And I say to the girl there, excuse me, my girlfriend is over in room 28. And, she had a panic attack. They drugged her, and we need to know what's going on. We're wondering, is there a counselor coming or whatever? Because we're in the dark. We're just standing here. We're not even sure what's going on. And the girl literally looks at me like this and says, I don't know, and no one here knows anything. I was like...
Because she probably didn't handle Leanna's, like, counselor or anything like that. She probably is just, like, another nurse for, like, some other patient. Like, that's the thing. There's a lot of nurses and all that stuff. They have a lot of patients. If you talk, and the EMTs talk to a nurse. Okay, let's say they talk to. I'm gonna throw out a fake name, Anne. They talk to Anne, and they're like, "Okay, Anne, this is Leanna, blah 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 blah." Anne's like, "Okay, fine, we'll do this and that, whatever." Anne is away. Anne is doing something else. She's helping another patient out. Phil comes to another nurse named Barbara. Barbara's not gonna know shit about Leanna because Barbara wasn't there. Barbara is like, I don't know who the fuck Leanna is. I know. I'm just here doing other shit.
Wow.
Wow.
Right? But she says, so, go back to the room and press the call button, then a nurse will show up.
Yeah, because that call button will associate to the nurse that put her there, in that room. That's how it works. You can't go to a random nurse. You're not gonna know shit about other people's patients. It would be a violation if they did. It would be like, oh man. Whew.
The nurse will be able to tell you what's going on. Okay. I couldn't believe it. I'm not making it up. She actually said that to me. No one here knows anything. Okay.
Yeah, because
this is great.
She didn't take care of
I know
Leanna.
you're loving the story. I'm loving the story.
Yeah, I know you're loving the story about my girlfriend, fiance who went to the hospital. I know you're loving this story. She went to the fucking hospital. It's not a fucking, like... I can tell this to my viewers, dude. Yeah. Come on. Where's your fucking... fuck off. This guy.
Okay.
Chew that water.
So then, I go back to the room. I tell Leanna, listen, you're going to have to buzz to find out what the hell's going on here. So she buzzes, and we wait. And we wait. About 5 minutes. It wasn't too bad. Nurse comes in.
Then why did you complain? We wait for 5 minutes, so it's not that bad. Yeah, okay.
And she says, what's wrong? What's going on? And Leanna says, well, no, she's so groggy, so she can barely talk. She's like, oh, nothing, I just want to know what's happening here. Is, are we waiting for a counselor, a doctor, or whatever? And the woman looks at us with, like, a look of scorn, right? A look of scorn. She's like, you've only been here, like, an hour and a half, and we have other patients. And I'm like...
Oh my god, this is what triggers me the most. Because that nurse probably came in thinking, holy shit, something must have, like, happened with Leanna. I gotta go there. And for them to ask, like, this kind of question... She's probably, like, really peeved. Because, like, who knows what they pulled her away from? Like, that's the other thing. That's the other thing. When a nurse is called, like, you don't know what they're doing in the hospital. They could be, like, handling another person's medication. It's like, a thing. And for them to call them, like, and they have other patients. Yeah, other patients that might be more deserving of their time, Phil. Because... You know, Leanna is covered. She's treated. She's just... All she has to do is wait. Like, it's not like, okay, well... you know, it's not that she's in a critical state. If she was in a critical state, she would not be chilling for over an hour. I'll tell you that right now. Like, come on. Come on.
What kind of fucking place is this?
What kind of place is this? They have other patients where they measure priority based on their condition? Wow, what bullshit, dude. It should be first come, first serve. Phil, if they took the time to treat, like, first come, first serve, no one... People who have the most severe condition would get fucked, to be honest. And it would be a shit show. Because these people who go to the hospital are there for a reason, and... All you had to do was wait for the counselor. That's all you had to do. But I gotta stream, dude. Come on. And eat. Oh, let me tell you, food is important.
Like, you're gonna talk down to a patient who's been waiting an hour and a half and no one's come in to tell her the status of what's going on?
Yeah, because she's not like an... Okay, look. When the paramedics showed up, she probably had a sense of impending doom. She probably thought, you know... This is the worst thing. Bad shit's gonna happen. I need to go to the hospital. That's probably what her state of mind was at that time. They gave her medications. They treated her. She's now... And all she's doing there was chilling. She was chilling in the bed. Like, she wasn't panicking when he was there. She wasn't, like, you know... thinking the sky was falling. She was just chilling, waiting for the counselor. That's all they had to do. And all Phil had to do... was be there and be supporting. And yeah, he can be a little bit like, you know, like, oh man, this is taking forever, this and that, but like, I would not make this big statement to my fiance who has anxiety attacks. Because just imagine if she just came from an anxiety attack, adding more stress to the time that, like, oh man, this is taking too long, what's going on, she's probably just sitting there like she's slowly getting like a little bit like stressed out, because this guy is fucking, like, stressing out about waiting for a fucking counselor. Like, come on.
And she asks, and you get angry?
Yeah, because these nurses are overworked. They work out so many patients. Like, so many patients. Like, even as a EMTs and paramedics get overworked too. Like, I could be on a shift. Okay, let's say I have a shift from like 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. If I get a call at like 5:55 p.m., I'll have to take care of the call. I'll do it, you know, because I'm there. It's still my shift, and I might be home at like, you know, 8 p.m. I'm not gonna give a shit because I have to. If I was working at like a late night shift and I was like working like and I get off at midnight and I have a call at like 11:59, a minute before my shift ends, I'm gonna go and take care of the call. I might not be home until like 3 in the morning sometimes. Things can happen. These nurses see so many fucking patients, and for him to have the gall to fucking be like, oh, I can't believe you're talking down to me like this, dude. Oh my god, bullshit. We're just waiting for a counselor. It's fucking shitty. These nurses are overworked. They have to deal with so many patients, and like, dude. My dad would tell me stories about patients he saw, and I was like, dude, and at first I thought he was like kind of like exaggerating these stories to kind of like, to get me to not like drink or whatever. I was like, oh, he's just, doing whatever. Once I started volunteering as an EMT, I saw those people, and I was like, holy fuck, how my dad was able to come home and not just like, explode is beyond me. But I mean, that's the thing. These people see a lot of shit, and to be this annoyed that they're annoyed that you're wasting their time with like asking when the counselor's coming in. It's kind of shitty. It's a shitty thing to do. Like, I can understand why people might want to know these answers and all this, but just have patience with the staff. These people work like a very hard job. And they have to go through like a lot of tests, a lot of like exams. It's serious business, and I just can't believe this guy.
What the hell? So I said, listen. I said, we're both hungry. She needs food. She hasn't eaten today. So the woman says, okay, I'll go get you some food. So she leaves. She comes back with a turkey sandwich. It's like turkey on rye bread with a piece of lettuce and a piece of cheese and like a packet of mustard and a couple saltines and a apple juice and like the apple juice looked like it was in like a yogurt cup.
Yeah, because they don't want to have straws because some people that might bring in might do stuff with the straws. But that's beside the point. He isn't there for the day. Lena's not going to be there overnight or anything. They're not going to give them like a meal. They're going to give them like just a little snack because it's that. And to ask the nurse for food, it's just like, come on. And guess who eats the sandwich? I guarantee you're not gonna believe the answer, dude. You're gonna be like, wow, dude. Yeah, if you guess Phil, you're correct, Mundo.
I've seen apple juice stored like that before, and a string cheese. Now, Leanna hates string cheese, and Leanna wasn't super hungry for like a sandwich, so she ate some saltines. Good, she got something there.
So basically, the only person that was hungry was Phil, because like if Leanna was hungry, she probably would go for the sandwich. And this guy is making it about himself. His fiance went to the hospital, and he was the one that was hungry, and then he used. Like, that's the other thing. Like, yeah, Lena could be hungry, but for her to go for saltines tells me that she probably wasn't that hungry. So the only one that was complaining about food was Phil. And then he just used Leanna as an excuse to get food. I just can't fucking believe this guy. Ugh, well, I'm here for Leanna, but I want food, dude. Food is way important. And my BMW, dude.
There was water there, too. I gave her water. She didn't want the apple juice. So we gave her the apple juice or whatever. Alright. So now we wait again. We're waiting and waiting. So anyway, I forgot to tell you, before the nurse left, she said, the counselor is coming. You just have to wait. You have to wait because there's other people here. I'm like, wow. Thanks.
Wow, there's other people in the fucking hospital that might need these resources more than me. Oh my god, I can't believe that fucking concept. This fucking guy.
How long did we wait for the counselor? What do you think? Did we wait an hour and a half? Yeah, well, longer than that. We wait an hour and 45 minutes? No, okay, maybe we had 2 hours? Yeah, no, longer than that. Almost 2.5 fucking hours we sat there.
Oh,
Okay?
boo-hoo.
Waiting for a counsel.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing that he's most upset about. His girlfriend, like, the other thing with anxiety attacks, that it could also be an underlying symptom for something else. Like, maybe something, happened, but the doctor already checked her out. Everything was already taken care of. If it was something more than just an anxiety attack, they probably wouldn't be waiting this long. I'm telling you that right now. If she was in a serious condition, like or anything, they wouldn't be waiting this long for these doctors, because there are other patients that are in more serious conditions than them. Like, I know that might sound shitty, but like, when you're dealing with patients of all varieties, you're gonna have to find a way to prioritize. You're not gonna, because time matters for some patients. A stroke. I'm gonna use a stroke for an example. When you're close to a stroke, the patient has a stroke and you're there, you are gonna be taking that patient within minutes. You are not. If you're 10 minutes, no. 5 minutes is like maybe it's like the ideal amount of time you want to take at the scene. But you want to get that patient on the ambulance as fast as you can, because a stroke can go so downhill so fast. And this guy, to complain about them taking their time to get to to a patient that's already been treated and cared for, is ludicrous to me. Like, because I've seen a lot of shit. I'm telling you right now, if they prioritize Leanna over those other patients, that would be shitty for those other patients, because those patients could die. Like, if you dilly-dally with a stroke patient or a heart attack patient, they could die at the scene if you fucking dilly-dally. That's why timing matters. If something's going downhill, you have to fucking call. You have to act fast. You can't just be like, oh, well, the guy who has a stroke came in after this person, so we gotta prioritize this person over that. They're not gonna fucking do that. If doctors are taking care of Leanna, let's say, and then a stroke patient comes in, that doctor's gonna immediately leave Leanna and be like, okay, well, medical office is gonna take care of her the best they can, then say, okay, excuse me, I have another patient that I have to see because they're in a critical state. Or they might just say, I have to go, I have another patient. Then they leave, and they have the nurses, do some stuff that they're available to do. The hospital is a very stressful place for everyone who works there. And for this fuck to slam on fucking nurses and doctors, it bewilders me. I can't fucking fathom how oh my god, let's continue.
To come into the room. The counselor was an elderly woman. You could tell she was probably in her 60s, white woman. Comes in.
Why does that matter?
2 pieces of paper.
Whatever.
Okay, she comes in. Hi, how you doing? Are you in pain? No, that's good.
It's the end treatment.
You're still having anxiety? No, that's good.
They were probably ready.
Give you some drugs, right? Yeah, okay, that's why you're calm. That's why you're woozy. It's because you're on the drugs. So here's 2 pieces of paper explaining what anxiety attacks are. Have you ever had an anxiety attack before? And I'm like, so they admitted her. Or they didn't admit her. They bring her into the emergency room. They administered a drug, and no one even asked her when she was brought in anything at all.
They did. They asked those questions. It's just that she's probably asking like out of courtesy and also to make sure that it checks out. Because unfortunately, some patients might lie about their condition. I know it sounds insane, but it could happen. That does sometimes happen. So she probably wants to make sure that it was an anxiety attack, and she probably wants to make sure that, has she had these before, this and that. It's just to make sure that the doctors and all that stuff check out. Because, like, the worst thing that a hospital can do is just assume that the paramedics got the call right. The EMT and the paramedic doesn't have the authority to diagnose the patient. The only thing that a paramedic can do would be to, make a call if the patient has passed away or not. That's the only thing that they can do on the scene. But like they would have to be sure that they're they would have to be sure. Otherwise, they're gonna take the patient and do their best. They have to make sure. But a doctor is not gonna look at a EMT or a paramedic report and just assume, okay, this is right, 100% perfect. We don't need to check up on it. No, they're gonna have to check up on it, because what if Because the vitals can change. The vitals can change a lot. Like, I've seen patients go from, like, a good blood pressure to a bad blood pressure, or from a bad blood pressure to a good one, then back to a bad. You don't know what could happen in a call. Anything could happen. But whatever.
No basic information whatsoever about this thing. She'd been sitting there for 2.5 hours. She might have been having a life-crippling anxiety attack where she's gonna fucking, you know, lose her mind and
If she was in that life-critical moment that you described, Phil, they probably would have gotten there faster. She was probably worse when they found her than she is now. She's probably a lot better than she was when they called before they arrived at the scene. Oh my god.
mentally lose her shit. And she comes in as, did you ever have an anxiety attack before? She's like, yes. Are they usually like this? Well, you know, I have them, but this is the worst one I've ever had.
It's not that.
Oh. Well, do you have a doctor? Yeah. A primary care physician? Yeah. Well, we recommend that you go see your doctor then. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, just to get like a checkup and a prescription or something, like, because when you go to a hospital, you're not going to necessarily see your doctor. I mean, you probably would. If you go to the hospital that is in your insurance and that has your doctor, you're not, like, if you call an ambulance, they'll ask you, one of the first questions as they're, like, transporting it is to ask you, what hospital do you want to be taken to? If you don't know what hospital you want to be taken to, if you're unsure what hospital is covered by your insurance or whatever, they're probably going to pick the hospital that's more suitable to, that they think is more suitable for the situation. Like, you know, when we see a patient, we might say, okay, well, we know this hospital has better equipment for a trauma, so we'll probably prefer to take this patient there. But if the patient says, oh, I want to go to this hospital, we'll have to take them to whatever hospital they want. Otherwise, we would have to make a call based on our opinions of the hospital or whatever. I mean, the hospital's a hospital. I mean, you're gonna get good treatment regardless. But, like, you know, we have to make sure that you want to go to a hospital you want to go to. So she might have gone to the hospital that, like, when they asked her, she could have said, I don't know what hospital I would go for this. I don't know, you know, what hospital is covered under my insurance or whatever, because this might be the first trip to the hospital she has taken. So she's not going to be in a system. The thing is, when you go to a hospital for the first time, they're going to have to add you manually. They're going to have to, like, type out all your information, all that stuff. But if you go there, like, you know, not all the time, but, like, you know, just, like, you know, if let's say like, knock on wood, Leanna has to go back to the hospital for whatever reason, they're probably, you know, now she's in the system of that particular hospital, so they'll take her to that hospital because she's in that system.
Oh my god, are you fucking for real? Are you fucking for real? Okay. Then she says, so,
shut up.
You know, there are different ways that we can help with stuff like this. Primarily, what it is we recommend you don't take any drugs at all. You just wait it out, okay? Now, obviously, just waiting it out doesn't work in the situation that Leanna was in, to the point where they called the paramedics. The paramedics recommended drugging her. So
yeah, but she's not talking about if you have, like, a crippling, like, severe anxiety attack. She's just saying in general. Like, if you have an anxiety attack, if you feel that it's manageable, we recommend not taking any drugs and just manage it yourself however, like, you do it. But if it's obviously if it's a severe thing, you're gonna want to either call the ambulance again or you know, get treated for it or whatever, or maybe take a medication for it. It really depends on the patient. I mean, personally, I feel like for anxiety patients, I mean, take it for what you will. I guess take it with a grain of salt. I would say, like, if it's something that you feel that you can tolerate or whatever, if you feel like, you know, I can handle this, you do what you will to work through it. But if you really can't, by all means, either take a medication, call the ambulance, do what you need to do, is what I'm saying. So that's my opinion, at least.
Woman is obviously a fucking buffoon. Okay?
A buffoon.
So then she said, so typically you should just wait it out, but, you know,
she's an idiot for suggesting something that could work depending on the anxiety attack. Because the thing with taking medication is that your body may develop a resistance to it, or a tolerance, not a resistance, a tolerance to it. So she might have taken more medication. Now the thing with that is that the tolerance is mostly pertaining to the, like, how you feel about that medication. Like, you might, feel loopy, but if you take it more often, your vitals might drop, but you may not notice it. And that could be another issue. That could be more, that could be a bigger issue. And the other thing is that they don't want you to take this medication that makes you loopy, or, like, tired at your workplace, obviously. I mean, that no one's gonna want to do that. It wouldn't be good for the patient.
Other ways you could do, if it's something that happens all the time, then you could do antidepressants, and that's a long-term medication. But since it doesn't happen all the time with you, usually we just have this, what we call kind of an emergency pill.
Yeah, if it's sporadic, I mean, there's...
Where if you ever have a bad attack, you could just pop the pill, almost like an EpiPen. It's like an emergency issue where if you have an allergic reaction, you pop yourself with that EpiPen and it solves the problem. So same thing here. You have a problem, pop the pill, right? And it'll cure the problem or whatever.
Cure the problem.
But obviously she goes, but we don't recommend you do that all the time because as you can see, you are tired and loopy and you don't want to be that all the time, right? And I'm like, this is the most, like, stupid...
she was probably just saying that just kind of, like, to be, casual with them, to be like, like, right? Like, like, she probably thought it was a joke or something with that, right? Because, like, obviously they're gonna say, yeah, we don't want to do that, obviously. But but she has to say that as well, because one, she is, like, kind of, like, her mental status might not be, it's not baseline. It's not a normal mental status because of the medication. So she's probably saying this for her to listen to again to make sure that she can commit it to memory, just in case. Or just telling Phil so that Phil can keep a record of it. So, because, like, it's better to have someone at least to, like, remind her just in case she forgets or something, because they're probably telling her a lot of stuff. But obviously Phil just wants to get out of that hospital, like, immediately. Because that's the most important thing, right?
The word I'm looking for. Patronizing woman I've ever heard in my life. She's given zero useful information whatsoever. And
zero useful information. Okay. Oh, yeah, telling you giving her advice on how to handle anxiety per her situation is useless. Yeah, guys.
I have fucking hours for her. Okay. By the way, I'm not done yet, but I want to give a shout out to Smart Weirdo 95 did a 2,000-bit cheer. Thank you, Smart Weirdo
2,000-bit cheer.
I've been watching since I was in middle school. Now I'm in college. Thanks for entertaining me over the years. Thank you very much, Smart Weirdo. That's very appreciated. 2,000-bit cheer is awesome, and obviously he is the cheerleader today for the stream. Okay.
Yeah, let's talk about cheerleaders during the story.
So,
like, that's the thing. If you're gonna talk about fucking, like, about this kind of emergency stuff, this personal shit, this shout-out shit should be, like, after it, not during it. If you're gonna commit to telling this personal story, you have to fucking commit fully. You can't just do this nonsense of, like, okay, I'm gonna tell you my personal shit. Oh, shout-out to Dumbside Viking, dude. Chew that water, bitch.
She literally says, okay, well, I'm done. See you later. And she starts walking out the door. I was like, whoa, 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 whoa,
whoa, whoa, there, buddy. Why are you leaving? I thought, oh my god, this. Yeah, the care is done, Phil. What more do you want them to do? Rush her into the emergency room and, like, put the AED on her or something? Like, come on.
What's gonna happen now? Are we still staying?
Obviously not, to be honest. The fact they gave you a payment plan. They gave you a payment plan. You think you're gonna spend the night once they give you that? Oh my god.
Are you going to get a doctor? What's going to happen here? And she says, I guess I'll go talk to the doctor. And then she leaves.
Well, she probably assumed that you would leave.
American healthcare, ladies and gentlemen. What a great system we have, right? So guess how long that we waited? Guess how long that we waited, folks? About another 20 minutes, I would say. About another 20 minutes, we just sat around doing nothing.
Wow.
So now for a grand total, we've been in this place for almost 3 hours, okay? Almost 3 whole hours. Finally...
Oh no, guys, he spent 3 hours in the hospital. I mean, I don't know what to feel sad about. I don't know what's more, like, concerning. The fact that Leanna had to go to the hospital, or them being in the hospital for 3 hours. You know, you gotta get your priorities straight, guys. You gotta think. What's the most alarming thing that's like very sad, you know, or like concerning. What do you think is more important? The fact that Leanna had to go to the hospital, or them having to wait 3 hours?
Comes in the room, the doctor, right? The doctor comes in and says, "Oh, let's see." No, the nurse comes back in. The same nurse that gave us the sandwich. Oh,
yeah, because the doctor is fucking busy. Like, they're not gonna send a doctor to a patient that's basically like done with their care. The doctor already seen her. The doctor's not gonna come back. The doctor has other things to do. He has other patients to see. He has like, he's probably checking out, like, he probably submit some tests on other patients. He's probably going to see how those tests came out, talking to other patients, treating other patients. Oh my god, they sent us the nurse? Wow.
Well, we had your blood pressure monitored this whole time. Your blood pressure looks fine. Everything looks good. She turns off all the machines. She said, "Okay, you can go."
Yeah, because you're fucking done. You're done there. Like, yeah. Her vitals were stable. Her blood pressure was fine. She was breathing, obviously. So it wasn't like, she was in cardiac arrest or anything. Her respiratory is fine. What was he expecting them to do? Fucking, like, do a crash cart? Like, rush it to... This guy must think that, the hospital is like house. Like, oh, yeah.
So you're not going to prescribe a medication. You're not actually going to do any tests.
The nurse... actually, no, I don't know if the nurse can or can't prescribe. I don't think they can, though. I think it's only for, like, the doctor and pharmacist can.
You're not going to do anything. That we just waited 3 hours. All you did is you gave her a pill.
Because you have to see your own fucking doctor for that. They're not...
Which you could have fucking done and just left her somewhere. She was...
No, they can't! The only way that they're able... That the paramedics and EMTs are allowed to, like, kind of leave them after giving them a pill would be if she's at home. If she was at home, and they called the ambulance because of this anxiety attack, they would have given her the pill, and they might have asked Phil, because he's there, like, okay, well... she doesn't really have to go to the hospital. She's, like, they might do another assessment just before they leave to make sure that her vitals check out, by the way. They're gonna keep checking the vitals, just to make sure, like, every 10 minutes, I think. You can't keep checking the blood pressure every minute. You'll get faulty readings, but they're probably gonna do, like, one last vitals just in case, but they probably would ask Phil, okay, well, if you want, like, they might ask Leanna as well. They'll be like, look, we gave you the pill, your anxiety attack should be, treating at this point. I mean, you should be fine. You don't have to go to the hospital. I mean, we might recommend it just in case if you're, it might be more comfortable for you if you want to go. But if you want, you can stay here and you can sign a refusal. And if anything happens, you can call us back and we'll come back and take you to the hospital if need be. But if she's at the workplace, if you're not at home, and they're gonna give you that medication that makes you sleepy, it probably would be in the patient's worst interest to leave them there, because she could get into another emergency that could be worse than an anxiety attack. Because let's say, I don't know what position she has at that mall that she works at, but like let's say she has to go up or down stairs or something, and she's like starting to feel the effects of the drug. And then she just kind of collapses on the stairs and just kind of like falls, and something that can be handled becomes a trauma emergency, which is worse because then you have to worry about broken bones, So it's obvious, or like the medication might not help at that time, and she might get another anxiety attack that might be worse than the last because she's still in the area that caused the anxiety to begin with, because you want to remove the patient who's suffering an anxiety attack away from the cause of anxiety. That's ideal. That's ideally what you want to do with those kind of patients. You want to kind of move them out of that environment because they could fall victim to another anxiety attack that might be even worse than what they had the first time. This what he's proposing to give her the pill and leave her there would be negligence, and that would be against the law. That EMT and paramedic, that everyone in that ambulance would be at risk of losing their license. They're not gonna fucking do that. They probably told her to begin with, like, well, we're gonna treat you for this anxiety attack. That's what it looks like. Your blood pressure is a little bit like, it might be a little bit too fast. It might be a little bit faster than normal. Her respiration is obviously faster than normal. And then they may say, like, we recommend taking you to the hospital. Because the way that it is now, you have this anxiety attack. You're here, and this is where you got it. You might fall victim to it again. It might be better that you come with us, so that we can monitor you and make sure that it doesn't get worse. That's probably what they did. And Leanna actually was like, okay, yeah, that sounds reasonable. I'll go. To give her the pill and leave her there is the dumbest thing, and reckless. It's a reckless thing. No one in their right mind would do that. Come on.
No reason for her to come to the emergency room whatsoever.
There was a reason. The reason why they were there might decline. It might get worse than what they were called for. Like, you could be called for, like, because there were calls that were called for, like, something that's kind of whatever. It was like, okay, well, we let's say we get called for a cold dispatch. We're like, okay, we'll get there, and at first it was like a a small little call. It's like, okay, this is gonna be an easy call. It's just it's just this little thing, and we'll take care of it. Okay, we get there, and then either the patient's still dead, and then on the way to the hospital, the patient just kind of changes, or when we get there, it's like, holy shit, it's completely different from dispatch, because the dispatch only tells you what they're told. So the call could be actually something completely different from what you're called for. You don't know, and that's the thing. The paramedics and EMTs can't just assume what's going on. They have to be thorough with this patient to the best that they can. So it would be in their best interest to take her to the hospital, because the hospital might be able to figure out something that they might have missed or whatever. Anything could happen. So, yeah, just leaving her there, I mean, this anxiety attack could have been an underlying cause of something else. She could have had something else on top of this. Because there are illnesses, there are things that might cause a anxiety-like state. And how is the EMT and paramedic gonna know that without treating them, without taking them to the hospital to get a better, checkup and all that? Come on.
They did nothing.
They did nothing? They did nothing. Okay. They did nothing. Yeah, sure. If they did nothing, Leanna might have been in a worse state, Phil. She could have been worse. Because again, as I said, with anxiety, the patient breathes faster. They breathe at a faster rate. The SPO content might be over 94%. And yeah, ideally you want to keep their saturation of oxygen to be like 94%, maybe a little bit greater, but if they're breathing a lot, they could over-oxygenate their body, which is also bad. Or they're not taking quality breaths, so they might not be taking in enough oxygen in their system. So if they don't take enough oxygen, organs will start to fail. And that is a serious thing. I mean, it's more serious with the elderly, because if their breathing rate kind of decreases less than 33, if they have 89%, their brain cells could start to die. It happens quickly. That's the thing. They want to make sure that this doesn't happen again. So if they didn't do anything, Leanna would probably be in a worse state than she is. So this guy really should be glad that paramedics were on scene, because And even that, the fact that paramedics were in the ambulance to begin with and were there, he should be grateful, because, usually in an ambulance, you might just have an ambulance crew of just EMTs, and they have very limited scopes. They can deliver babies through the traditional means, sure, but they can't do C-sections. If there's a breach, they can't do anything about that. They might be able to kind of facilitate it, but they're not going to be able to give birth to that. They can't do it because it's out of their scope. They can't do a lot of things. They can only do oxygen basic treatment that can keep them stable. The paramedics have a wider scope. So if you're in an ambulance and you have paramedics on board, you should be fucking relieved that they're there. They don't have to be there. And the other thing is that they could have downgraded the call. If paramedics were there, the paramedics could have been like, okay, well, this call is, can be handled by the EMTs. The EMTs are capable of handling this kind of call, so we'll downgrade from an ALS to a BLS, and the paramedics can leave the scene easily. But the paramedics, the fact that the paramedics decided to stay with the patient is a very good. It's great. It's great because, like, and the other thing is that if it's a BLS, let's say the BLS team is there, and they're like, okay, Leanna's like, doing this, we got to upgrade the call to an ALS. They would have to go on their radios and call in a paramedic to meet them halfway or something. That's what they would do. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. So this guy saying that, oh, they did nothing, is the dumbest thing I have ever heard. And I have seen people, I have seen patients who are less grateful, but at least grateful enough that we were there to take him to the hospital. This guy has, Phil, not Leon, I'm talking about Phil now, has nothing wrong with him. He's perfectly, well, not perfect, but he's, like, at least at a healthy condition. Is complaining about the care that Leanna got. Leanna's probably happy that they were there to begin with. It's insane. It's insane. I'm sorry this is a tangent, but the EMTs and paramedics and the nurses and the doctors, they all work hard. They all work very hard for their patients. And this fat fuck is just criticizing them, slamming them left and right. It's just kind of shitty. And it's shitty. It's fucking shitty. Like, and I'll tell you this, as I said before, if I were called and he was the patient, I still would take care of him regardless, because, yeah, it's my job, but it's just that, these people have to take care of people. That's their job. Even if, like, I could be called for, like, a patient that I might say to myself, I don't think this call requires an ambulance. Like, I have seen calls that, I don't think is necessary of an ambulance. But I'm not going to tell the patient, you're wasting my time. I can't believe you. I wouldn't tell them that, because they think that they need the ambulance. And they want to be treated, and that's the job description. We have to treat these patients, the way they want, that they feel is needed, that be taken care of within our scope and all of this stuff. It just baffles me how ungrateful this fucking guy is, that these people went there to help his fiance through a situation that was serious for her.
Help her in any way besides just give her a pill. So we wasted.
Phil, if they could have given her the pill, I'm getting really fucking pissed at this. I like they could have given her the pill, and the vitals could have gone the completely other way. The pill could have done worse for her, because what if, like, she thinks it's an anxiety attack? Okay, fair enough. She thinks it is, because she feels that it is. Okay, so the EMTs and paramedics, like, do the vitals, and they look and they're like, okay, well, it might not necessarily be an anxiety attack. It might be something else that might share some symptoms of it, and she might think it's an anxiety attack. A lot of things can happen. Can be that. It can. If they gave her that pill, it could have worsened her condition. It's like, if someone has low blood pressure and an EMT or so, like, if they have a low blood pressure, but they feel like, I have chest pains, I'm going through this, and their blood pressure is like less than 90 or less than 100, and they take a nitroglycerin, their vitals are going to go even lower, and they could be in a worse state. I mean, it's just kind of like, yeah, they didn't do anything, but, like, they were there monitoring her. They were making sure that her vitals did not get worse. The vitals could have gotten south for all he knew in that ambulance. Like, by the time in that ambulance ride, a lot of things could have happened by the time he got there. And he's like, oh, they did nothing. You weren't there, Phil. You weren't in the ambulance. You don't know if they did nothing. For all you know, like, the pill may not... It's insane. It's insane to go by that logic. Because he wasn't in the ambulance. A lot of things could have happened. He's not even grateful that they even, like, were there to help her. This guy.
3 hours in this emergency room. That was it. That was it. And then we're like shocked. We're actually shocked that this is it. This is the whole treatment that we got. So we're walking.
Why would he be shocked? She's fine. She has good vitals. Her vitals are fine. She feels fine. Oh my god. And I'm sure the only one that was shocked was him, and the only reason why she was shocked was because he was shocked. He was probably like sitting there like freaking out and all this stuff, and that is terrible for the patient who has anxiety attack or is recovering from one. To be next to this guy freaking out about the
front of the hospital.
Like, and that's the other thing. When you're an EMT and you're on board with the patient, you have, like, especially for like a patient like Leanna, like, who has anxiety, the EMT can't be like, oh god, Leanna is freaking out, I'm freaking out, I can't, oh my god, because that would make the condition worse. The EMT and paramedic have to like calm her down. They can't be freaking out because she'd be freaking out. So what Phil is doing is basically almost like if she wasn't on that medication, that he would be actively undoing all of the things that they were doing to calm her down in the first place. And I honestly believe that, I think that maybe her anxiety attacks are getting more frequent because he's with a guy who freaks out all the fucking time. He has been making all these alert videos. He's been, like, last week alone, he said, like, oh my god, guys, YouTube's fucking me over, this and that, I don't know if I'll be able to pay my bills. And then Vidar Viking, like, shoves more money up his ass, and then Phil's like, okay, guys, good news, everything's working out, it's great. He flip-flops through, like, through emergencies so many times that I think that is kind of rubbing off on Leanne, and that's why she's having all the things, I think that's kind of the root of her anxiety now, is that he's kind of, like, panicking all the time, and who knows how they talk about the business. Like, Leanna comes home from work, and he asks her, like, how's her job, and she might ask, how's yours, and he might say, I don't know, I didn't get enough cheers today, I don't know if we'll be able to pay the bills. That can, like, raise her anxiety so high. And then she's in the hospital room, and he's just sitting there, like, kind of complaining about things, freaking out. This is the last thing she needs to hear.
And there's this area here that says, if you are, being, what's the word? Discharged, you have to stop here. So we stopped there, and the woman, and she looks around the corner, she says, hi, she said, well, did the nurse give you the paperwork that said what you're here for? And we're like, yeah, here's the paperwork about anxiety. Okay, bye, see you later.
What are they gonna do? You're being discharged. You're not at a hotel. You're not at a fucking hotel, dummy.
That was it. So 3 hours in a hospital, in an emergency room area, nothing whatsoever useful was done whatsoever.
You don't know if there was nothing useful because you were there late, you fucking dummy.
Now, the drug that they gave her to help her was an hour earlier. That's American healthcare. Now, by the way,
that's American healthcare.
I guarantee.
Go to a place that has the worst hospitals, and then come to me and talk about worse healthcare or worse hospital treatment or whatever. Because I don't even want to get started with this. This is the dumbest shit. Like this alone, like I really don't understand how can a guy be so ungrateful after his girlfriend, fiance was in the fucking hospital. I just can't fucking fathom that. I really can't.
I don't know what the bill is because we don't have it yet. They're going to mail it, obviously. I guarantee you it's going to be like $1,000. I'm not even exaggerating. I guarantee you that bill's going to fucking show up, and it's going to be anywhere between...
Yeah, if she spent the night, if she spent more than one day at the hospital, it would be more than that, so at least be grateful. A lot of other people have it worse, Phil. Shut the fuck up.
$500 to $1,000. I guarantee it. Yeah, she has insurance. She actually is covered in insurance.
Then the bill's going to be less then, because the insurance is probably going to cover her. Like, it might cover, like, part of the bill. See, and that's the thing. That's why healthcare is important, because if you didn't have healthcare, man, you would be fucked. Like, I mean, you would be in more debt than, like, dude, imagine being in student loans, having student debt, and then having to go to the hospital, and then being in hospital debt on top of that without being covered by health insurance. You would be fucked. Like, it would be a nightmare. It would be a nightmare. So that's really why I think personally that healthcare should kind of be more mandated than car insurance, because you can buy a new car easily. Your body is more important. I value my health more than a car, because I would much rather, like, just because you don't plan on going to the hospital on top of that. So imagine not being covered. Like, you might say, like, oh, well, I'm healthy right now, I feel fine, okay? And then, like, tomorrow something unfortunately happens to you, you either get into a car accident or something bad happens to you, and then you go to the hospital, and you have no health insurance. I mean, that would be a shitty situation. That's why I kind of don't understand why people don't want to have health insurance. I don't want to be in that situation where I have my health in fate's hands, where it's just whatever. That's my personal thing. We don't have to get into that healthcare argument, but this is so ungrateful. His girlfriend went to the hospital, and he's more concerned about the hospital bill than. Oh my god.
She's already under the plan of her mother. That was one of the things that Obamacare actually helped with, is that it allows people who are young enough to be covered up to the age of 26 under the health insurance plan of their parents.
Yeah, okay, Phil. Imagine if she's 27 years old and she doesn't have health insurance. God damn it. Yeah, let's make this whole thing about Leanna, about the health insurance system. Yeah, okay. That doesn't look fucking shitty.
But she's still covered under her mother, but I guarantee you.
And the ambulance ride, honestly, from last I heard, can range from $300 to $500. I think I heard it was $300 from the place I work at, is that they charge roughly $300. So, that's $300 out of their pocket. It could be more than that in some states. It depends on the state as well. That's the other thing. It depends on where you go, but probably $300 to $500 is fair. 1,000, I mean, it might be 1,000 total, including the hospital expenses, but, I mean, your girlfriend went to the hospital. I mean, if my girlfriend went to the hospital for whatever reason, I wouldn't care about how much I'm paying for that. I would just be happy that she's in better hands. The paramedics did their best they could, and they were there for her.
Gonna get a giant bill in the mail. For nothing. For a pill. They could have just handed her the pill and said $80.
Yeah, okay, but what if it was worse than that? What if, they gave her the pill, and then instead of her getting better, she went worse. She got worse. What if, they didn't give her the pill at all? What if the paramedics weren't on board in that ambulance? What if it was just the EMTs there? What are you gonna do, Phil? Yeah, you'd be in a worse state. She would be in a... Leanna, don't let him decide. You're like and before someone says, like, oh, he has the power to do this, Phil would need the power of attorney to make these decisions on Leanna's behalf. If Leanna, or if, like, a coworker called, like in this situation, a coworker called the ambulance, Leanna would have the final say if she can go to the hospital or not. He has no say, because he's not the patient. He's not her guardian. He's not the power of attorney. The only way that he would get power of attorney would be if, like, he got her to sign off on that or something. Like, you can't do that. Like, some people have power of attorney for, like, people who are in there who are elderly, because, they might be more willing to let nature take its course, but she's a young person. She's not gonna want it. She's not gonna be in that situation. She would probably want to be taken care of, because she's 26 or so. Like, yeah, Phil has no say as to if she can go in the hospital. So let's answer that. Let's just approach that. If you're confused, if you're concerned, like, oh no, Phil is gonna do this. The only way that could happen would be if Phil told Leanna, no matter under what circumstance, say no to the EMTs. She's probably not gonna say that, because the thing is if she's suffering something that she feels is really bad, she's gonna want to go to the hospital.
Pill or whatever, but instead they had to bring her to the fucking hospital, and they did nothing. They literally did nothing to help her.
They can't do...
And now she's gonna get a giant bill. So there you go. Isn't that a great story, ladies and gentlemen? What
a great story. Yeah, I learned a lot from that you're a fucking asshole. Like, yeah, they can't just give her the pill and leave her at her job. She's not a fucking child, Phil. She's not, like, at school. the ambulance is not a taxi ride. It's not a taxi ride. Once you get in that ambulance, it's a one-way trip. You can refuse, but it probably wasn't in her favor to refuse at her workplace where she became anxious where this attack happened. It probably would not be in her best interest. Like, they can't just do that at all. And as I said before, if you're concerned that Phil would have like authority over her well-being, that's not the case, because for starters, she is an adult. She's over 18, so she's able to make a decision. The way that the EMTs handle it would be, there's all kinds of consent. There's implied, and normal consent, all that stuff. We don't have to get into all of it, but in order for the choice to be taken out of her hands would be if she was in a mental state where she could not make a decision. So let's say that, we go there, we ask her, like, okay, do you know where you are? Do you know what time it is? Do you know who the president is? That kind of stuff. If they're able to answer those questions, then she's more able, and she was able to answer the time, the date, the president, where she is, all that kind of stuff. Then she's able to refuse treatment if she wants. But if she's like, oh well, I'm like, she's at the mall, okay? Let's say that she's like, oh, I'm in the White House. Oh, the date is like February 2015. This and that. She would be in no condition to refuse, because she's not answering the questions correctly. She's not telling me that she doesn't know where she is, and there might be something going on with that might be worth taking her to the hospital if she can't answer these questions. And that's kind of how people judge, that, and then like the vitals. Like, I might like look at the vitals and tell her, like, she might be, and then let's say that she might be able to, like, get this and she's coherent mentally. But if I'm looking at her vitals, I'm like, okay, Leanna, your vitals are kind of getting me worried. Your vitals are kind of like going a little bit faster than they should be. You're breathing your breathing is more work for you. I don't think that, it would be in your best interest to stay here, and for us to leave you. So, I mean, we can if you want, but it would be better for us to take you with us to the hospital, because this can get worse if you don't do anything now, or whatever. And that's probably what happened, because they don't want to leave her, and then when they leave, they have to get another call from that same mall, and then she's like and she's unconscious or something. I mean, the EMTs have to be very thorough and very, like, sure about the patient. Like, and it's not necessarily the same as an elderly patient, but for an elderly patient, let's say that, we get there, we get called for a fall or whatever. We go there, and we lift her up, and she's feeling fine. But she says that, well, I lost consciousness for a moment, and now I'm fine, I feel better, and her vitals are fine. But her nurse or caregiver is leaving. And they're like, well, my shift is done, I have to leave. And she's gonna be alone. We would have to take her, because we would not feel, it wouldn't be the right thing to leave her alone after that. Like, it would be negligent, and it wouldn't be in the patient's best interest for her just to be left there.
Isn't that great? I mean, it's just such a great American healthcare system, right? So now she's zonked out. She's sleeping.
Zonked out. Oh,
she's everything. She's still on the pills made her all loopy or whatever. So I mean, we did on the way home. I stopped and we got food. We grabbed like chicken sandwiches and we just ate them and now she's asleep.
He ate a sandwich, then he ate again. But guys, he's totally not.
So that's what happened. Unbelievable. Like
unbelievable, guys.
Oh my god.
Oh.
The thing is, I know if this ever happens again, I'm gonna tell him you are not allowed to bring her to the hospital. No, you get no permission to fucking do it.
That's not your call to make, Phil. I'm sorry, but that's not your call. It's between the patient and the EMTs. If the EMTs and the paramedic, even if, let's say that Phil is there and she's like, complete out of it, she's like, feeling that she's gonna die, we would say, okay, Phil, we're gonna have to take her. her vitals are like are worse than normal. Not worse than normal, but like they're not in their normal limits. We're gonna have to take her. We can't just leave her here. We can't just leave and come back. It's not in a like if it's like at a manageable like vitals. If the vitals can be managed, if you can just give her the pill and all that, that's fine. But if it's like worse, if this anxiety attack gets worse or whatever, she's gonna be taken. Phil, your refusal will mean as much as a penny. Nothing. It'd be nothing to them because they're gonna take the patient's well-being over your say-so, Phil. Your wallet has no power over the well-being of Leanna. I mean, they don't have my permission. Your permission means nothing unless like Leanna is like incapable of making her own decisions. But even that, it's man, Phil, fucking shut up.
You can't give her a pill. You want to give her a pill? Give her a pill. And that's it, because you're just going to waste our time again.
But, like, the thing is that if they give her a pill, that's another thing as well. On top of that, they would want to do a follow-up on that medication. Because that medication, like, because if the medication is going to last, like, let's say lasts, like, for 5 minutes or for an hour, they might tell Phil, okay, we'll refuse treatment, but, within an hour if it worsens, call us back and we'll be right back. But if it's a pill that, like, apparently they gave her the pill like 5 hours ago from when he did this stream. 5 hours ago, and she's still under the effects of that pill. They might be more interested in doing a more thorough assessment at the hospital, which they did. And they're like, okay, well, her vitals check out, she can leave, and she might have some lingering effects from the pill, sure, but her vitals did not drop drastically or increase drastically or anything, so they're all in with normal limits as they should be.
You didn't help us at all.
They did help you.
What I thought, when they said counselor, I thought they were going to have like an actual psychiatrist or counselor come in and talk, and let's talk, maybe I could talk it out and help you with some of your stress or your issues, or maybe something happened at work in particular that you could talk through that could help you so that you can get that stress relieved and it doesn't happen again. That was the biggest joke I've ever seen in my life. That woman could have been anyone. That woman could have been the fucking janitor that just walked in. Who knows? Because she had no knowledge besides what she had on a piece of paper. And by the way, the article, and this is not even an exaggeration, the article they brought in about anxiety was from 1996.
Yeah, because maybe not a lot has changed with anxiety patients from then. That's the other thing. The doctors operate on the most recent information they can. So if it's from 1996, then that's telling me right now that that's the most recent stuff that they have. Okay.
A 21-year-old outdated article from the Mayo Clinic about anxiety. Oh my God. Okay. I got that off my chest. I mean, okay. So, folks, now.
All right, that's it, everyone. Thank you for watching this video. Hope it was fun. Hope it was informative. I don't know what to say. I really am stumped, and the fact that a lot of his fans agree with him on this, it's just alarming. It's alarming to me because EMTs and when the ambulance is there, they're trained. They're trained professionals at their job, and to talk down to them like, oh, they did nothing, it's just kind of shitty. These people had more education than Phil. They know what the fuck they're doing. And he would much rather have her stay in the location where the anxiety attack happened. Is worse than anything that you can imagine. Like, I can go on like a whole like rant about how dumb this is, but this video is basically that. Thank you for watching. Yeah, I gotta go. I'm hungry myself, but goddamn, this fucking guy, Leanna, don't listen to him. If you feel like you have to go to the hospital, that's your call. That's your call. Don't think, oh, well, the EMTs are here, but Phil said this. Don't listen to Phil. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. The person who best knows your condition is yourself. If you feel that you need to go to the hospital and you feel that you would feel more comfortable and reassured by being around people who are trained to take care of patients, do it. Don't sit there and think about money. Don't think about Phil and all that stuff. Think about what's better for you. You're going through something. What's going to be more beneficial? Waiting for Phil to pick you up to take you to the hospital, or going to the hospital with people who are trained to take care of you? Alright, everyone. Thank you for watching. This was probably a fun video for everyone. I can't believe Phil made this fucking... talked about this to begin with. He could've... Like, and that's the other thing. I want to say, lastly, and I know this is going on at this point, but all he could have said was, at most, was... Leanna went to the hospital, she had an anxiety attack, okay. Or it said that she went to the hospital, and she's feeling a lot better now, and then move on. That's all he could have said. He didn't have to go into this detail. He didn't have to make it about himself. That's all he had to say. He could have said, oh, there was an emergency, I have to go, end the stream, go take, find out what's going on with Leanna, then come back, start the stream up again, and just say... Leanna was at the hospital. She's fine now. She's great. She's home. I'm very relieved that she's doing good. That's all he had to say. Alright, everyone. Thank you for watching this video. See you in the next one.